welcome in. We're doing Job, and going to get back into Job. So if you remember, he had all the tragedy happen to him. More tragedy happened, and then his friends showed up, and they kept their mouth shut for a week. And after a week, they said, "Hey, buddy, bad stuff doesn't happen for no reason. What'd you do?" At least that's where it starts. And Job has begun his defense. And the thing is we'll see that probably again here in the accusation against him. There is some wisdom. The problem is it's just not applied correctly to the circumstance that Job finds himself in. So I just want to point that out, that we'll probably see that again, and Job is going to continue defending himself. So that's where we find ourselves. Job 7. Do not mortals have hard service on earth? Are not their days like those of hired laborers, like a slave longing for the evening shadows, or a hired laborer waiting to be paid? So I have been allotted months of futility, and nights of misery have been assigned to me. When I lie down, I think, how long before I get up? The night drags on, and I toss and turn until dawn. My body is clothed with worms and scabs. My skin is broken and festering. Oh, that does not sound good. No wonder he tosses and turns. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and they come to an end without hope. Remember, O God, that my life is but a breath. My eyes will never see happiness again. The eyes that now sees me will see me no longer. You will look for me, but I will be no more. As a cloud vanishes and is gone, so one who goes down to the grave does not return. He will never come to his house again. His place will know him no more. So he's describing the reality as he sees it, that life is fleeting, that he is his body is beaten, he can't sleep, days go by, they're just running past, his breath is almost out, he's waiting for his eyes, and when he dies, nobody's going to see him anymore. So because of the reality that he's facing, he says, therefore I will not keep silent. I will speak out in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. That's an apt description of how sometimes we feel. There is bitterness in our soul, and there is anguish in our soul. Yeah, and that's where he's at, and that's where he's coming from. Look, I can't keep silent because this is what's within my soul, and I need to express it. Am I the sea or the monster of the deep that you put me under guard? When I think my bed will comfort me and my couch will ease my complaint, even then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I prefer strangling and death rather than this body of mine. I despise my life. I would not live forever. Let me alone. My days have no meaning. So he says he's not going to keep quiet. Now he's describing it. Now, if you recall, he's already cursed the day he was born and the day he was conceived and wish he had never been born. Now he's saying, I preferred that I would rather my body and mind be dead. I despise life. Life in the current state is not truly life. It is awful, it's horrible, and nobody would want it. What is mankind that you make so much of them, that you give them so much attention, that you examine them every morning and test them every moment? So this is kind of a reference to back to chapter 1 and 2, where in the morning, potentially, the gathering of the divine council happens, and the adversary, the Satan. If you weren't here, it is specifically, now it doesn't say Satan, it says the Satan. It is a job description. Comes and talks about him. So why are you paying so much attention to us, and why are you testing? So that was, he said, can I test Job? Will you never look away from me or let me alone even for an instant? If I have sinned, what have I done to you? You who see everything we did, why have you made me your target? Have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my offenses and forgive my sins? For I will soon lie down in the dust. You will search for me, but I will be no more. So he's making an argument here and trying to figure out, look, I haven't sinned, and if I had sinned, God forgives sins and gives pardon, but why then have I become a target? And why is it that this is going to just drive me into the ground? Can I get a moment's peace and rest? Then Bildad, the Shunammite, replied, oh goody, his second friend is going to talk now. How long will you say such things? Your words are a blustering wind. I might be inclined to say something about blowing smoke, but I'll just leave it as blustering wind. That's all right. Does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert what is right? When your children sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. But if you will seek God earnestly and plead with the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, even now, he will rouse himself on your behalf and restore you to your prosperous state. Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will be your future. Your future will be. Okay, so just a connection here. This sounds very similar in nature to what we read earlier this week in Paul, in Romans, where he's talking about sin and the power of sin, the forgiveness of Jesus. And here, it's not as in-depth, but the concept is there, that the penalty of sin comes because of breaking the law. And there is forgiveness when you go to God and seek him and humble yourself, and then God will restore you. Why don't you just do that? Now, Job had just made an argument and said he hasn't done anything wrong. And so his friend is ignoring, and he's saying, you can't, so he says, I can't believe you. I can't believe what you're saying, Job. You have to have done something wrong. God does not punish for no reasons. This is clearly punishment, and there is a reason. See, there's the problem. His friends are viewing this as a punishment of God, and that's not what's happening here. This is one reason why I am always super cautious when a tragedy happens to point the finger and say why. Am I supposed to, unless it did happen, and then I would clearly do it. If I had insight and God had given it to me, and God said clearly to me and revealed to me, I don't mean an audible voice necessarily, but it's so clear and evident that I have to say it, that event that happened is a result of someone or a group of people's sin, and boom, I'll say it. But unless then, why would I, like Job's friends, presume to know why something happened? It could be testing. It could be punishment. It could be so that God is glorified. There are many reasons why something may happen that we might view as horrible or tragic or the other, or any other description we want. Why do we presume so often? That's, I think, the problem here. As for the former generation, we continue in verse 8, and find out what their ancestors learned. Oh, ask the former generation. Yeah, go ask wisdom of the older people. You young whippersnapper, you. Go ask some people who've really lived, and they'll tell you. For you were born only yesterday and know nothing, and our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not instruct you and tell you? Will they not bring forth words from their understanding? Can papyrus grow tall where there is no marsh? Can reeds thrive without water? The answer's no, my friend, no. No, see, I'm dishing wisdom here, Job. Listen up, Job. I'm going to learn you, buddy. While still growing and uncut, they wither more quickly than grass. Such is the destiny of all who forget God. So perishes the hope of the godless. That's you. That's you. What they trust in is fragile. What they rely on is a spider's web. I don't ever plan on relying on a spider web. They're pretty easy to dash for me. Insects, not so much, but they lean on the web, but it gives way. They cling to it, but it does not hold. This is when someone smashes it. They are like a well-watered plant in the sunshine, spreading its shoots over the garden. It entwines its roots around a pile of rock and looks for a place among the stones. But when it is torn from its spot, the place disowns it and says, I never saw you. I love the imagery here of putting that. So you go to pick up your, I'm just going to pick on corn stalks because they displace a whole bunch. You pull that corn stalk up and there's a big old mound on there and rocks or whatever come with it and there's a hole in the ground. Yeah, I never knew that. Yeah, there's corn here. I never saw it before. Corn? Corn, you say? Well, I've never seen any corn. There's no corn around here. The stones, the spot where the plant, boom. We didn't know you. Surely its life withers away, and from the soil, other plants will grow. Yeah, so, next year, something else grows there. Or, you pull it up before the end of the season, something else is going to grow there. Yeah, just the way it is, Job. Stuff gets planted, stuff gets harvested, and you're just one of them things. Boom. Surely God does not reject one who is blameless or strengthen the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Your enemies will be clothed in shame, and the tents of the wicked will be no more. Job, don't you know? If you had faith, Job, if you were blameless, which apparently you're not, you thought so, but you're not, and God doesn't strengthen evildoers. Oh, come on, Job, that's just so ridiculous. We all know that God blesses those who are good, and he despises those who aren't, and that's how you know who's good in the world. If they've got lots of wealth, they must be good, and if they don't, they must be bad, Job. I mean, it's clear as day. Job, why don't you get this? Now, perhaps it's not as extreme as I'm exaggerating it there, but it's essentially, surely God doesn't reject one who is blameless and strengthen the hand of evildoers. Your enemies are going to be clothed with shame, and their tents of the wicked will be no more. Your mouth's going to be filled with laughter, and you'll listen to joy. If you're truly saying what you are, which I don't think you are, if you truly are on the up and up, and you're all good, then it'll happen. But if you're not, and I think that's probably true, that's why you're in the situation you're in, Job. So, his friend, while some of this may be some wisdom, his pretense of why he thinks Job is in the place where he's at is completely off base. Therefore, his accusations are off base, his conclusions are off base, his solution is off base, and he's totally missing the point. So next time we'll continue with his argument and accusations against Job. He's only just getting started, and so this is what we're doing. We're going through these accusations against Job. Job's defending himself. Then Job here adding questions to it. Some towards his friends, some towards God, some perhaps towards both. But he's crying out. He's expressing himself. And this is one of the things that we'll answer in more depth later on, but I'll just tip my hand now. There are some who think that Job sinned in his questioning of God, and there's statements that say several times, in all this Job did not sin. We haven't seen that for a while. I think if I remember right, we'll see it again towards the end. But there is a part where God answers, and then Job says stuff, and then in there people suspect that maybe he did. That's not how I read it, but anyway, so Job, I see, he's not, here's I think some of the difference. He's not demanding God do anything different. He's not demanding answers from God. He's asking questions of where he's at and what he's feeling, and so that's what's going on. Oh, hey, Miss Joey.